Where she went? Oh, yes, she.
Okay, so we are live now. We are live. Take it away, Aaliyah.
We are live. Okay, you know what? This year is 2023. Welcome, everyone. We are the Millionaire Ladies Mob. This is our first episode of 2023,
Yes, it
January
is.
26th. So I want to say welcome, ladies, Saran and Carmen. So I am Aaliyah, the healthcare queen. You can reach me at Aaliyah 10K. You can follow us at Millionaire Ladies Mob. You can email us at millionaireladiesmob@gmail.com. You can follow us on YouTube. We are all over the internet. And so, with that said, Carmen, I will let her talk about what she does. And then we'll go with Saran. But I can't see Saran, but she is here.
Well, oh my gosh, it's so great to be back, right? We've been off
It is.
air for a little bit. And, I love when we get on here and chop it up and share and educate our community. So I'm happy to be back. I'm Carmen Bernard. And there's the lovely Saran. She's back. But
Yes.
I'm Carmen Bernard. And I help people. Well, we all do that. We all help people to protect their income, eliminate debt, and create tax-free retirement that they cannot outlive. That's important to make sure I mention, as well as create a legacy for the future generation. And I'm really, really happy that we're back together to share, to talk, to chit chat. You ladies are looking lovely. Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year to the guests that are going to join us. Please, as Aaliyah said, please share, like, follow. And let the lady Saran speak with you.
I like to be called lady. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on when you're watching this. If you're watching it live or if you are watching the replay, I am so excited to be back with my lovely Millionaire Ladies Mob, where we're out here creating income that you can never outlive, eliminating debt, and making sure that you can create a legacy for your family to leave behind. I am just so excited to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight because we are here to help you, not to hurt you. We need you to get the right information so you can make decisions, solid decisions, not just on 30-second TikTok videos. Not that TikTok videos are wrong, but you need more than just a TikTok video to make decisions and get information. So we're here to provide you with information and education. If you want actual advice and direction, you got to book an appointment. So
Yes.
with that, I'll hand it back to you, Aaliyah, to guide us on this conversation tonight.
Okay, wonderful. So, like we said, it is good to be back. And so, what we're bringing tonight, our first topic of the year, is something that's been on everyone's mind. 2022 was a year of ups and downs, and lots of things happened in 2022. They say we're in a recession. And so, we want to bring you today some saving strategies because it's important that our families are able to just make it. We also want to leave legacies for our children and our grandchildren. It's really important, especially now, because things are a little more expensive. I'm not going to lie. Things are a little more expensive than they were in 2020. So we talk about when we go to the grocery store, we're paying almost double from what we were paying in 2020. So it's important that we talk about some of these saving strategies, it's tips for managing your money and how you can save for the future. So we've got a lot of things to go over. So if you have a pencil and paper, or if you just want to take notes, we would encourage you to do that because this is informative. This is practical for everyday living. Okay. So one of the first things that we are going to talk about is an emergency fund. So a lot of times we don't have an emergency fund. There are articles, if you look up emergency fund, if you look up on the internet, or just if you know someone, if they had an accident or something major happen in their life, they would not have enough money to take care of their family for any length of time. So, what we want to do is we want to make sure we have an emergency fund. You've probably been told that. You know you have to do it. So, it's January 2023. Start somewhere. We can start. You can start small. It's a goal. You start small and you work your way up. Your thoughts on that, Carmen or Saran? Because it's so important, the emergency fund.
Yes, you are absolutely right. For anyone that I'm talking to or any person that I'm meeting with to give advice or who's struggling with this, establishing an emergency fund is very important. And um, it's about 44% of Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency. $400, and that can mean, something, your tire, your tires went bad. That can mean, something goes out on the refrigerator. That can mean anything. But 44% of people cannot cover that. And I've spoken to a lot of people who have even said things like, I've never had an emergency fund. No one told me to do it, and I've never had an emergency fund. But basically, what it is that people are replaced using your credit card as an emergency fund, which later turns into major problems, right? Because that $200 that you borrowed, or that $400 that you borrowed on the credit card, and then you did not pay it back immediately, depending on how much interest it is, doubles, right? So, and I want to make sure that I drop this in here one time, because Saran made a good point earlier when she said, if you want actual advice, you have to meet with us. And the reason we are saying that is because what we're giving you is broad, it's generic, it may not apply directly to you. So what is going to apply directly to you is going to be, once we evaluate your particular circumstances, and we're all equipped to do that. And so, like she said, take advantage and meet with us. All right. The next thing, after about the next piece of advice that I like to drop is to establish a budget. Right. The best way to jumpstart establishing a budget is to just realize your spending habits. So one of the things we tell people when you want to start a budget is to take the last 2 or 3 months and go through your bank statement, your credit cards, because you will think you remember, but you cannot remember until you pull that and look at the actual uh, amounts that you have spent, and document that. That's the first part of doing thing. Well, other than making sure you know everywhere where money is coming in, right? So you have the income coming in, whether it's your side gig, whether it's um, you know residual income coming in, whether it's your actual salary, whatever it is, all that needs to go on there. And then get that correct picture of what you're spending, um, and then make notes about that, right? One of the things, and then um, figure out your goals. We have to know our goals, right? And the goals is not just, we might have some short-term goals like wanting to buy a home, or we might want to go on a vacation, or we might want to purchase a car and things like that. And those are, some short-term goals, some midterm goals, but you also need to look at what is that number that you need to retire. And it doesn't matter whether you are 20, whether you are 30, whether you are 25, it does not matter. That number, you need to try to figure out that number and get that in the budget, because that will help you to know what it is that you need to save in order to get there. And it's okay that you can't do that right now, all of it, but it's actually important that you are looking at the big picture. So I would definitely say establishing a budget is super important. What do you say, Saran?
So I'm going to circle back a little bit to the emergency fund. So the big thing, we say someone can't sustain it, right? So I'm gonna make it real for you. There was a time in my life where I couldn't pay for a tire. And I don't tell this story often, but I remember this had to be like maybe 10 years ago. I was unemployed, underemployed, in between jobs. Things were just happening. All of a sudden, now I needed tires. Well, on a nice little trip back from Pennsylvania, I bursted not one but two tires, two separate times on the trip. Well, that was a financial burden because I didn't have the money to do it, right? I didn't have the emergency fund. I didn't have credit cards either at the time. And so since then, knowing an emergency fund, having that cash, liquid cash, it became even more important and more real because I could have it real experiences to say, you know what? This wasn't the thing. I literally had to wait for a tow truck to pick me up. And I had my nephew, who was maybe 10 or 11 at the time, in the middle of the night in Bel Air, Maryland, which is like dark. It was over 100 miles from my house. Luckily, I had AAA, and they brought me right to my door with my broken down car, right? But the thing is that not having those emergency things in place could make a huge difference to someone who may be having a hard time financially, right? And I'm not ashamed to say that I've had financial hard times, because what's the point in having those hard times and learning from them and becoming a financial go-to person, not being able to share it, right? Because many of us have lived from check to check, or from check to Monday, or check to Tuesday, or check to Saturday, right? Depending on when you get paid. Some people have gotten paid on Friday, and on Saturday there was no more money. Like the song said, just got paid Friday night. But you don't go to the club when you got real bills, right? And that's where it goes back to the budget that Carmen was talking about. And so when your money is tight, it's hard to mentally think about budgeting that, but that's really the time that you can master your finances, because mastering those finances when you have a little bit of money will matter when you get more money, because now that you've been able to master the small amount, now big amounts, it makes sense. To tell the money somewhere to go, right? So those are my thoughts.
And those are awesome thoughts, and that's really keeping it real, because many of us, I included, first of all, budget. Who wants to budget, right? And a lot of times when you don't budget, you actually think you have more money than you do. Because what we do is we look in our savings account, I mean our checking account, our savings account, whatever, and we have a certain amount of money, and then we pay something or do something, and then the next day whatever we had forgotten about hits. And so, I mean, I've been there, right? And now you're stuck paying. And when you don't do this, right, and I'm speaking from experience, when you don't do this, you end up in a worse situation, because now not only the bill hits and there's no money in there, but now you're having to pay those overdraft fees. Mm-hmm. Now you're having to pay a late fee. Mm-hmm. And when you realize that, when you add up all of that, that is so much money that of your wealth that is going through the door that you're giving away.
You are so right. You are so right. What I was thinking about when we were talking about emergency fund, there was an article a few weeks ago, probably maybe a couple months ago, that Walmart, they actually, I guess somehow they know who shops in their store. Mm-hmm. And it was mostly middle class and those that are higher income earners. They were shopping Walmart.
Of course.
I mean, that's how they made their quarterly earnings. I think it was last year. And I was shocked because, I like Walmart, but that's not my store of choice. But, I like to thrift shop. I like to go and get a bargain. I love to look at the weekly papers and see what's on sale. It's just natural, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's just natural. You want to always get a bargain. So you always, when you have an emergency fund, you might be able to get something, that maybe you didn't think you could afford. That could be part of your emergency fund. Retirement and HSA. I've had an HSA for the past couple of years. And what that does is that you have a high deductible plan and you can save money to pay that deductible, and your employer can take that out of your check and you can put it into an account, and you can keep that money and it rolls over and it just continues. And you can pay your long-term care premium. There's so much that you can do. So that's part of your planning and your emergency fund. You can do that. You budget it and think about it and have a purpose for that money. And so if you like to shop, think about what you're buying it for. I also saw it was on the news the other day. People are buying these high-end bags that they bought last couple years ago that are doubling in value and selling them. If you like a high-end bag, then buy it with a purpose.
And take care of it so you can double, right?
That's right. That's right. That was just recent. The last couple of days I saw that. And I'm like, wow, that's something. I don't spend my money on high-end bags. I have one or two, but years ago, you might want to say, oh my goodness, you really out of stock. But those are the things that we can think about. So it's the emergency fund we talked about, establishing your budget, and make sure that you are saving for a purpose, such as retirement, maybe a college education, and something that's going to benefit you, especially in the long run, so that you don't be caught unawares. Yeah. And caught without anything. And it happens to the best of us. I do remember, Saran, you talked about a tire and blowing a tire. I used to travel from Arizona to California on a regular basis because I lived in Arizona, but I also was able to work maybe once a week or something here in California, but I could travel back and forth. And I remember traveling in the middle of the night. It was very late, and I had a flat tire going up there was an incline. And I was like, oh, it scared the life out of me. It was dark, everything. But I called my husband. He had to come all the way. It was a 2-hour drive and take care of it because I didn't know what to do. We had AAA, but it was really scary. So things like that happen every day. You got to think about stuff like that. An emergency could be, maybe it's not a tire, maybe it's your car needs to be serviced. Your light comes on, something like that. So we got to think about those things. You can also
add something real quick. One of the things I heard as you were talking, I heard it jumped up in my spirit is you gotta know why you're doing something, right? Mm-hmm. Or why not to do something. And so one of the things that I found is that in my younger years, I want to make sure I don't have to depend on anybody for anything, right? And so when you start thinking about an emergency fund and the budget and planning for retirement and all the things we're talking about, really think about what's your why or your why not, understanding what it is that matters to you, what's driving you, right? I know one of the things that really drives me is I don't want to be a financial burden on anybody in my older years. I don't want to be a physical burden either, but I can control the financial burden and I can control the physical burden, up to eating right and exercising as best I can. But the financial one, I can absolutely make sure that it doesn't exist. And so you got to think about what matters most to you when you hear us talk about things for finance. And those are the things that'll be able to drive you to having a conversation one-on-one to talk specifically about your situation with Carmen, Aaliyah, or me. But the thing is to really just think about it and why. And if you meet with one of us, we're going to ask you why. And we're going to probably ask you why about 2-3 more times to really understand why you're doing something or why you want to do a new plan so that when you feel like quitting, we can keep you on the plan.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Love that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. And, sometimes I think it's a struggle because it can be a struggle for some because you say to yourself, you hear everybody says, okay, I need to do an emergency fund. Okay, I need to do a budget. I know I have to do it, but how? And we take for granted that people know how. And those are some of the things that we will help you with. But I just want to give you like some little strategies. For instance, if you are, you're realizing you put down all the money that you're bringing in, all the money that is going on, and you realize that you're almost down to the penny, it might be time for you to bring in some more money. Find a
Mhm.
way to bring in some more money. And how you do that, we might even be able to, now we can offer you ways how to bring in some more money, how to get that up. But my biggest thing is to start small. We don't want to overwhelm you. Start small. Even if it's $5, $10, $20 per paycheck that you can put up, that's what you will put up, and make sure that you put that up first, right? And another strategy, and there's so many of them out there that you can use when you're doing, when you're budgeting, or when you're doing, trying to figure out your emergency fund or whatever, is called the envelope method, right?
Oh,
And my husband and I used to use this a long time ago. We went
Mhm.
away from it. We probably should have kept doing it, but we went away from it. But that envelope method actually really works, because you know what? When you put the money in there and it's assigned to something, when that is gone, it's gone. And so
yeah.
you can't spend that anymore. But we've gotten into that debit card mentality, as if it's a bottomless pit. We don't balance any statements anymore, bank statements. We just rely on our brains to remember, oh, 1,600 went in, I paid 400 to this, I paid 300 to this, I paid 200 to this. Oh, I got this, I could go buy these shoes,
Yep.
or I could. So we have to kind of get back to those basics, and establish that envelope method. Just basically means, this is the money for food, this is the money for rent, this is the money for this is the money for that. And once that money is out of there and gone, it's gone, right? Even simple things like, the online thing is so convenient for us, right? We
Mhm.
it's so much better for us, but let me tell you, it's also so much easier for us to overspend,
Oh,
because now
Mhm.
because now we don't just, number one, we don't have just that cash, which cash is super emotional, y'all. If you have money that you holding in your hands, and then you're going to hand it to somebody, you're giving it away to somebody, that's emotional, right? Now that the banks have figured out, let's remove this emotion from this. It's a card, we just swipe in it, that's what's happening. So if we're shopping from home, nothing, it tells us, hey, do you need this before you go? Do you need this? Do you need that? We're not adhering to our list like we used to do when we had to walk in the supermarket. Make sure we stick to this list, because we can only pay this amount of money, right?
Right.
So those are some little tips that I would say, if you are new to this, you're struggling, you whatever, we've been there, we hear you, and we are saying this is some of the things that you can do.
mhm.
I love that envelope method. I actually heard one of our colleagues mention that there's an app coming out that it mimics the envelope method.
Wow.
Doug mentioned it over the weekend that there's an app coming out.
So guess what? There's actually some available right now. So the
Mhm.
way it works, you know how, when you get paid, you can actually move that money into different accounts. So if you move the $20 into, I said $20, okay, maybe you move the $200 into clothing shopping for this month. What happens is, when you go to that account and there's no 200, no more money in there, you have to have the discipline to walk away and say that I don't have it. I can't buy these shoes anymore, because I don't have enough in that specific thing. So it's so now great. It's mimicking what we are doing now digitally, but that, and my he's now 30, but I've seen him budgeting before he moved out of here, and then he moved out, bought a house. He does that envelope method, partially because he don't trust the bank, but
We'll talk about not trusting the bank later.
right.
We'll talk about that tonight.
Really?
Yeah, but
We should
since he was
retitle it
little,
"Don't Trust the Bank" because we're gonna
right?
show people
Don't,
that.
at least don't trust them to tell you what to do with your money. True, don't trust them for that. But he was like that since he was little. He was like, he had some money. We told him put it in the bank. He asked us to go back to the bank and get his money, because he'd rather see it than. Don't
Wow.
do that, guys. There's more. There are other ways. Yes, don't trust the bank, but don't trust the bank, and trust in the bank, or taking your money out and put it on the bed or something like that so you could see it. It's just about the same thing, by the way.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
interesting. And you know what? There's another thing is sit down and calculate. When you said put, you put 200 here, you put 200 there, you can splurge every now and then. A lot of people think that just because you're on a budget and you're trying to save money for the future, that you can't enjoy things. You can. Maybe you want to go to a movie every now and then, but think about where all your money's going. When I started looking at my bank account and saw all the deductions, I'm like, what is this? Well, what is this? Why am I paying for this? And why am I paying for that? There's an app for that too. There's apps for almost
I like
everything.
that. There's an app for that.
So you need to know where your money is going so that you can kind of budget and think about it. Okay, will I have enough money to retire on? This is big today, is the retirement. But we're going to give you some savings tips and things like that. But we're also going to talk about in a couple of next episodes about the baby boomer crisis. There's a crisis. So we have to learn how to budget. The younger you start, teach your children, teach them how to budget, maybe start a business, something like that, so that they can be used to putting money away and doing things with their money instead of just blowing it. I also saw there was a very popular singer. She said she's very wealthy, but she teaches her children that they are not wealthy. She
Mm.
doesn't want them going
I've
out.
heard a lot of famous people say, "I'm rich, you're not."
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. They don't want them bragging to their friends and things like that, making other people feel bad. But it's a way to humble them. They want their children to be humble,
Mama
and
may
I thought
have,
that was interesting.
Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own.
Right, right, right. Wow. So we haven't even gotten through half the list, but we're going to continue. So let's talk about banking, credit cards, and debt saving tips. Now, Saran mentioned something about the bank. I haven't heard anything because I have not been watching the news. I stayed
So,
away from the news. So, Saran, can you please update us?
well, since my new obsession is TikTok, that's where I saw it. And it was a clip of the news about what's going on at Bank of America. So the thing that's happening with the banks is Bank of America was having some issues where people were having these ghost transactions on their bank accounts. And folks were calling in. And I think the example I had was one older lady called in and said, "Hey, what's this transaction?" And the bank responded, "Oh, it's Uber Eats." She said, "I don't even know what that is." And the guy was like, "Well, it's where you order food and have it delivered." She said, "I don't know how to do that. So where's my money?"
Oh,
And so it apparently has been happening so much that people have become very uneasy with Bank of America, and kind of applying it to other banks too. And they're wondering how to protect their money. Where could they put their money and hold it where it would be protected from ghost transactions at the bank? I wonder if we know any place like that. Let me check. I think I know somewhere. But so that was really what happened. And so it's on a lot of TikTok videos. And so you want to know where you can put your money to save and hold it, where it's not going to be kind of moved without your permission. Get on there and book an appointment. Oh, you know what? I have the link right there, millionaireladiesmob.com. We can show you how to do that. And then you can get access to it whenever you need to get access to it without the stress of worrying about is something going wrong at the bank.
Right.
So, but
right.
that is the trending. That's one of the trending topics in the money field, in the money area. And so it's not like hearsay. It literally was on the news in a couple different places, and news anchors reporting the challenges that have been happening. So I am not here to besmirch Bank of America by any stretch of the imagination. So just sharing the information that was shared with us on the public internet.
Wow. I know, right? On these internet streets. And actually, I had not heard much about that, but I've been a little ghost recently. But the Bank of America is really getting dragged, huh? Because they also had this thing with Zelle last week that caused so many people's accounts to bounce, right? Because so what had happened, people were receiving Zelles or whatever. And once the Zelle hit, they kind of saw it credited to their account or whatever, but then by the next day it was reversed, and then all those transactions bounced and things like that.
Oh wow.
And it was like, go back, people were saying, when they called Zelle said call Bank of America, and when they called Bank of America, that Bank of America said call Zelle. But do
so people are very wary right now of the banking system, right?
Exactly.
So that's where someone like us, licensed professionals, we can help you to redirect those funds to places that you can feel more secure and get your funds transferred to you. But I would be remiss if we didn't at least mention it, especially when you start talking about banking and credit cards and things like that. By no means am I against the bank at all, but I am for protecting the assets that we have, because the number one job we have is to protect ourselves and our assets and our families. And so if you're not able to protect those things, then what? And so we really have to take action and take heed to information when someone's teaching you or showing you ways to protect yourself and your loved ones and your finances. So that's really the thing that was going on with the bank that, I really wanted to make sure that we let folks know that there's a way to do that. And it doesn't have to hurt. And then, Aaliyah mentioned that, or Carmen, I don't remember who, one of us mentioned that spending is emotional. And that's where your plan comes in place, because guess what? I want to put money away so that when I decide to walk through the mall or walk through the outlets and I see a purse or some shoes or whatever that I want, that I've already set aside funds for that emotional purchase, because we know it's emotional, because you only went in there to drop something off. You did not go in there to go shop. I'm just talking about myself. I did not go in here to buy. I just came to return the thing I bought online to get another size because they said they had it at the store. I accidentally walked around the whole mall and bought something from like 5 other stores. That's not what I said. That's what happened. And that purchases. And so again, we're human beings talking to human beings. And so we're not saying that we don't understand that, but what we are saying is there's a smart way to do it. I have really set aside for little Saran moments, we'll call them, at the mall.
And
for someone who never goes to the mall.
And Saran, that is actually very important. All that you need to do to satisfy that, like she said, she already planned for it, right? She already set it aside. Just make it a part of the budget. It's the part of the budget for your whatever kind of days. Just put that in the budget. If that is going to be 5%, just keep putting that 5% in there. Even if you didn't buy anything for the last 6 months, still put that 5% away for those exact purchases. And it keeps building up. And then when you want to get or do something, you don't have to worry. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to worry that you're taking it from something else. And you know what? I remember this very well. Like, if I wanted something, I know I shouldn't get it because this was supposed to be paid and that was supposed to be paid and the kids needed this and that. And I made the conscious decision to say, you know what? I'm getting it because I'm the one working. I need it. It's my money. I'm going to spend it. I don't care about anybody else. And then what happens the next month? Of course, I might have
everything's out of order.
Exactly. So, but that's what we do. That's what happens. But we can show you how to,
not do that anymore. And yes. So there's a popular book out by T. Harv Eker. It's called The Millionaire Mindset. And in his book, he talks about setting aside money for your mental health. Yes. He says, put money aside for things like getting a massage every month and don't skip it. Putting money aside for those things that make us feel good and make us feel alive, and not skipping it, because sometimes we'll skip those things thinking, oh, I need to use the money for something else that's more important. But the most important thing you can do is keep your mental health up and your physical health up so that you can continue to deal with it, right? Because I wanted to say it because many of us and many of our ladies who watch the Millionaire Ladies Mob, and our gentlemen too, you come in and you go to work mostly, but you work in a situation where it's not ideal. They're not nice people, but you work there because you need your income, and your next opportunity hasn't come. But it's a stressful situation for you mentally. And if it's stressful for you mentally, it impacts you physically, whether
Yeah.
you acknowledge it or not, right? And so you do these things. So having these things built in as best you can. Again, if someone is barely making it, I'm not by any means saying don't pay your light bill and get a massage. That is not what we're saying. But you should meet with one of us so we can help you get on track. But the
I
thing
know.
is, is to really think about it, because a lot of our ladies are doing well. A lot of our ladies do have income who are joining us, and sometimes maybe it gets misdirected because it didn't have a plan, because you didn't know where it was going. And the next thing you know, you look up, it's not there, but you went through the drive-through for fast food. You ordered lunch at work. You also went out to dinner and brunch and drinks and everything over the weekend. Nothing wrong with it, but thinking about redirecting that so they can do more healthy things. Again, I'm not against any of it. I always ask people, what's your why? And then we talk about what we're going to move around and what we're going to change and what we're going to add. Because if that's your thing and your only thing, then why would I eliminate that? Like someone who buys high end bags. Well, I can't have a conversation with them about not buying high end bags. That's
What they like.
brings you joy, right? You can tell me to stop buying high end bags all day and twice on Sunday because I own zero. And I feel perfectly fine about it. I decided the other day, I said, maybe I'll buy one. Maybe, you know. But the thing is that finding what the thing is for you. Now, if you tell me, Saran, stop traveling, then we got to have another different conversation because that's not going to happen. It's just not.
Yeah.
Right? So, really, and that's why we have these kind of candid discussions with you. And again, book a time. You can talk about your stuff specifically because we don't want you to feel like you got to put it in the chat. But, if you're watching live, go ahead and say hi in the chat. But think about it and calculate and plan. But don't forget the future and don't forget fun. And, don't forget those emotional outbursts. You might have had a bad day at work and been like, you know what, bump this. I'm going to the outlet after work. I'm going to get me that big coffee and I'm going to walk around. I'm going to touch everything in the mall because I can. And then the next thing you know, you didn't just touch everything in the mall. You walked out with 3 bags of what you touched in the mall.
Right.
Nothing wrong with it. Just saying, we're here to help.
Yeah. That
and not be in a financial bind afterwards.
Right. And I wanted to say, we're talking about some strategies and some things that you can do for saving. And we by no means are only talking to people that do not have, like sometimes people want to equate budgeting with not having money. Mm-hmm. You have to budget, regardless, right? Because there are things that you could be doing with that money that you're taking away from your future, right? So yes, you're looking at us and you're like, well, I don't need to budget because I have money. We have clients that have money. And what are happening is because they may not know where these dollars can be used more efficiently. And because they do not have a budget, they're not able to see that these dollars can be redirected somewhere to be used more efficiently. Wow. Right? So if you're listening to us and that's you, and you have money, you are not struggling for money. There's still many of our clients that we have met with that was in that same situation. Now, I can't tell you that I was in that situation because I didn't have no money. Y'all know I grew up poor. So that wasn't me. That it was, and I'm not here to fake, phony, fraud anybody about, oh, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this. To this day, budgeting, you have to continue to do it. You have to, like Saran said, know why or why not, and so that you do it. Otherwise, you become complacent. Mm-hmm. And you do things, you'll fall back into your whole habits. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very easy for me to do. Very, very easy for me to do. And so, and I know I'm talking to someone out there.
That's right. And you know what I wanted to say? Even those, there are people out here who have very thriving businesses. You have businesses that are making money, but you had to budget in some way, some costs for marketing, costs for maybe employees or help. So budgeting is not just for someone if you don't have money, like Carmen said. It's for those if you have money, if you have a business. When I started last year, around November, October, November, December, I've been working and trying a different model and had to budget for Facebook ads. That you have to budget. So it may not be just because I have to budget because I need to buy groceries. It's just me. There's not, just me. So I don't have to have a bunch of groceries. I don't have to go to Costco. I do go to Costco. When I walk in Costco, I'm walking out $400 and I'm thinking like, why? I didn't need anything. So budgeting could be a number of things for your business. You don't think about that. There's so many ways and so many things that we need to budget for and think about. Maybe you need, you have credit and you want to make sure that that credit is used wisely, especially for your business to make it become maybe a multi-million dollar business. But we have to budget with all types of things, even entertainment, like you said. Now, I remember before 2020, so let's say 2019, so we all know what happened in 2020. I was going to travel. I was going to do a lot of stuff. And that's where a lot of my budget went. And then all of a sudden the world stopped. I would eat out every day. And I thought, after I'm thinking about that, now I'm like looking at how much I don't want to spend money anymore. Those things don't matter anymore. I'd rather eat at home. I'd rather just, maybe, I don't go a lot. 2023 is my year, Saran. Traveling. I'm not going to be stuck in that mentality anymore. So I really have to think about maybe budgeting for my mental health, meaning I need to go on a trip once a month, maybe just 2 or 3 days. And if I have to go by myself, or how far will I go? There are so many groups you can join. There are Facebook groups that have traveling. There's so many tips and budgeting tips and side hustles that people are doing that they are making money, but are they budgeting? What are they using that money for? So those are some things we have to think about. It's just not for if you don't have it, you need to budget it. It's if you have it, maybe you need to do something and have a place for it to go instead of just spending it willy-nilly. That makes sense.
You're muted. You're muted.
Am I muted?
The more you have,
It's
it's important to plan. Like you said, you walked into Costco, came out with $400. I heard one of our colleagues say, "Well, you have a shopping problem, not a budget problem." So if you can't, and the thing is I go into the store now. My practice is I go in with a list, and I try not to get anything more than what's on the list. Usually, if I do, it's like I got a limit of like one that's more than the list. Like maybe the thing I forgot to put on the list, but I try not to do more than what's on the list so I can stick to what I came in there for. Because even if I go on their list with 5 things, somehow the bill's always $100. Mm-hmm. And so that's interesting now with inflation, right, at the grocery store. But it's one of those things to kind of plan, with budgeting. I said I was going to do more this year because I have a spending plan for the year. So I know how much money I want to spend on certain things. And so for household, I was like, you know what? I can go buy, half a year's worth of toilet paper and not have to go back for 6 months.
Yep.
Or to have my paper, simple ththings that I don't have to keep running to the store every week to get. And oh, by the way, with inflation, it's probably going to be more expensive at the end of the year anyway. So get it while the price is low now, right? Right, Lori. Right on, Lori. The food is off the hook. Right?
It is.
Y'all say hi to my aunt.
Hey, Auntie Lori. Hey, Auntie Lori.
So,
thank you for joining us.
So you got to put it together. And Tiara, she's saying get those coupons. And so for those who I get really annoyed with coupons, even though I try. If it's not in a little app, I just don't. But
you know what? There are people I've been following.
Coupons come in the app. I can't do it.
I've been following people with those coupons and how to get, like the Dollar General. I'm like, you can get this for like $1. And it's like, I've been following that and I'm like, can I really do this? So I'm going to test it out.
So
Because
tried and I
full
failed.
disclosure, about 10 years ago when I wasn't when I was underemployed and I was not making enough money to do damn near anything, I literally, because my job wasn't very, I was underemployed. I was obviously doing something way below my skill level, but I was making a little bit of money, so I did it. But I was couponing, and let me tell you, it does work, but you got to focus. That's why I don't have the patience for it now, because I kind of was forced to have to do it to try to just get some of the basic things together. And so now it's like, no, I just want to buy stuff I want, the stuff I want and need, and not have to worry about if my coupon matches the exact item I have. So I have this lotion right here that's sitting on my desk. If I don't have the coupon that says net weight 5.5 ounces, y'all know I can't hardly see this, so I gotta think it right. Net weight 5.5 ounces, Gold Bond Ultimate. If it's not the exact thing, then the coupon doesn't work.
I have tried, y'all.
No,
It's
challenging. I was able to master CVS coupons because
that's one of the things
CVS has some of the best coupon prices, but you're gonna get that list that's like toilet paper, and you gotta work it out. But the cash back is good, and if you use those, and so this is my coupon. If you get cash, the cash certificates from CVS, and they say, oh, you get $3 in extra bucks. You can also use them at Harris Teeter. Harris Teeter also has something called super doubles, where you can double your coupons twice, but they only do it quarterly. So, I mean, again, I know how it works. I just can't know what to do.
I don't think we have that in Georgia.
Well, and these are tips that we're practical tips that we're talking about, that if you want a budget, these are things you can start doing that can help you with your budget. Now let's talk about.
Tiara said CVS is my favorite store. I come out of there spending zero, and you can do that, and you might have to do multiple transactions, but you can come out spending almost nothing in CVS.
Tiara has come up with something great. She can teach people how to do that. And we can follow you. Look at Lori says, teach.
Yes, right. Teach me. Me too.
That's interesting.
Look, Tiara, look, add that to the list of stuff we talking about, girl. Tiara is one of our colleagues. You all haven't met her yet.
No, I haven't met her yet.
Y'all,
okay, let's see what's next. Are we almost done with our list?
Yeah, I like that couponing. She said couponing with a cause. That's correct. Couponing so I can save up for extra massages and high-end bags.
Tiara, that's the name of the group. There you go. Create that group.
There you go. I'll join it.
Look, yeah, add us to the group here. We coming.
Right here, guys, another thing, we're talking about savings and enhancing our savings and stuff like that. Some things we do not we take for granted a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So something like comparing our homeowners insurance and our car insurance every 6 months, every year. Listen, I have been one of those people that the insurance company can count on to just send me the bill with the raise, and I just paid and kept going. Yeah. And the thing about it that now I understand, listen, you know how at work every year, every 2 years, you might have a very good insurance plan, and then the company decides they're not offering it anymore. And you're like, what? That's the one I like? Well, the company's looking out for themselves. They are shopping, comparing those different companies, and whomever brings the best rate to them is who they're going with. Well, I've decided, well, you know what? The corporations can do that. I can do that. And so I'm shopping my car insurance, my homeowner's insurance. It's easy to do, especially if you know what you have. All you need to do now is look and see who has just about that and compare it and move. I was flabbergasted at the amount that I saved last 6 months. I'm telling you, I had a bill of it's got to be over 3,000, and I shopped it and brought it down to 1,200. Y'all listen.
Well, and that in and of itself is advocating for yourself, and you may be able to get a lower price from another carrier and bring it to your current person and say, hey, this is what I got. Can I switch, right, in some areas? And I want to add to your homeowners options. So you said shop your homeowner's insurance. The one thing I learned, look, what broke taught me, and now that's a shout out to my girl Jonte. She wrote a book, What Broke Taught Me. But let me tell you what being unemployed taught me. It taught me that because I'm a homeowner, I could go and do my own kind of self-assessment of the value of my property to see if my property tax should be lower. And I absolutely shopped it. And this was during the time when the market was down and all that. Now I wouldn't do it right now because the market is up and I don't want to pay that. I'll wait the time frame when it changed, right? But when the market goes down and you know that your house is undervalued, and this was like 08, 09, 10, between that time frame when all the values had dropped. It's like, listen, I owe more in this house than it's worth. I don't want to pay this higher tax rate. So I went and I did a whole valuation of myself. I contacted the county. I booked an appointment at the county and had it reevaluated in the middle of the term. And they lowered my taxes by like $700 to $800 because of the value of my property had dropped. And so many people don't know that you don't have to just accept what that tax rate is, especially if you know the market has shifted. You can go, and advocate for yourself to change to get that lower amount, And I know people who shop their cable and internet.
People.
Right. Some people shop their cable, their internet, all these other things. But that tax bill is a big one because for many people it's included in their mortgage. And so with doing that, I was also able to lower my mortgage.
Yes.
And so it has to be, and there's a lot of things that, we can learn in doing that. And, look, it's 9:24. It feels like we just started, right?
Always.
But those are some of the things that you could really be thinking about and looking into and seeing how it works. Now, of course, it's going to work differently in every state or county, depending on your jurisdiction or whatever it is. Everybody's got something special going on. Now, listen, you go to New York, where I'm from, where my family is, the rules are just different than everywhere else in the entire United States. But in California, those two, they just have these special things that the rest of the world just does not subscribe to. So love it there. But when you start getting into those things, it's a little bit different. But still check. And it pays to know those processes and be a part of the political or the governmental process to know that you can go down to your Department of Taxation and get things done and look on the website. We're in a beautiful age, the information age, if you will, where nothing is a secret. It's not 20 years ago where you had to go to the library to try to find stuff. Nothing wrong with the library, but you don't have to hunt through a bunch of books and periodicals. You just type it in on your good friend Google, and Google will tell you everything you need to know, or whoever your browser is.
Right.
Because I think I got Edge on here. They keep trying to force me into it, but I don't like forced relationships, so I fight it. and I go to Google, even though I don't really want to be in a relationship with Google. I just go to Google because I don't want to be forced into a relationship with Microsoft.
With Edge, right? That's what they're doing.
I want to be able to choose.
Listen,
I'm
that's what they're doing to me right now. I don't understand. I'm like, I want this thing off the pinned part. I don't want it keeps popping up when I do something. But I want to say, Saran, you have just helped so many people because those are not things that you think about or that is well known to everybody. I mean, say this like one of our former presidents used to say, many people don't know about this. Most people don't know about this, but I do. So here's something else that it might not think to yourself. You might not immediately think to yourself that this can help with savings, but that is taking care of yourself. Don't skimp on preventative healthcare. Don't skimp on getting your dental checkups, and so that you would prevent things from happening like more costly fillings and dental crowns and root canals and stuff like that. Because if you're doing it on
tooth replacement, just hold
the entire thing, right? And if you just don't skimp on that, go to the doctor, get your checkups, right? Don't walk around here without health insurance, because today, believe it or not, today I spoke to a gentleman. He had some adult children, and he said, oh, one of my sons does not have health insurance because his job doesn't offer it. Well, we still have that thing, that vision, like this is all we see. If your job don't offer it, then you can't get it. many people qualify for health insurance. Reach out to that healthcare queen right there. Reach out to her. Reach out to me. Reach out to Saran and get those preventative things done, because that prevents the bigger, deeper, more expensive things from happening. And now that money that you would have spent on that can go toward saving and saving for your future and things like that. So
Mhm.
all these little things, are things. I mean, I can't believe we're here at 55 minutes already.
No, it's
Yeah.
9:28. I don't know what kind of clock you're looking at.
The,
58 minutes, 58 minutes. No. But the exciting thing is that you have us, you can tap into us every Thursday at 8:30. We're back. We had a little sabbatical. We even had some Christmas and some New Year's and a little lunar New Year and a couple of moons and full moons and all that. But we're back here to guide, to educate, and to support you, and all three of us work together collectively, and we all have something that we do individually live as well. I think, Carmen, you're back on Wednesdays, right?
I
7
am
o'clock, right?
8:30.
8:30 or on Wednesdays, Big Facts with Carmen. Aaliyah, when are you on?
I haven't started, but I think I've chose
Fridays, right?
Fridays. I think
Okay,
that was
so
my
Aaliyah's going to be on Fridays, and I'm on Mondays, right?
That's
And
awesome. Monday, Wednesday,
Monday,
Friday.
right? And I'm
Uh-huh.
on Mondays at 8:30, and I try to talk a lot about money mindset, right? I actually have a book coming out, The Budgeting Money Mindset. I don't know, I've named it like 4 times, so it'll be renamed, but it'll be coming out.
Are you going to have a book signing?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a book tour so I can come to
Oh,
California. Any
I
excuse
love
to
it.
travel. Listen, any excuse to travel, just give it to me.
That's right.
But it's coming out because I think most of the time our money is so emotional. Some of it ties back to childhood. Some of it ties back to young adulthood. Some of it is just bad behaviors that were passed down
Yeah.
to us that our parents and grandparents didn't know were bad behaviors being passed down. Right? They were just living their lives, and so we're excited to be here. We got a really rocking. I was gonna say rocking WAASS, but let's just go with it. Line up for the next 6 months. You would not believe what we got planned to talk to you about, and we're gonna dig deep into these secrets. Send us questions that you want us to answer. millionaireladiesmob@gmail.com. We'll answer them on live. We obviously won't say it's you. If it's something that you feel like that everyone can benefit from, send us an email. We'll answer it on live on one of our lives. And I absolutely meet with us. The first consultation is free. The second one might be free too, but at least the first one is free. Now, if you cancel, if you skip out on your appointment, like if I show up at 9 p.m. and you booked an appointment with me at 9 p.m. and at 9:05 you're not there, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to send you an invoice for $75 because now you owe me money because you wasted my time. Now, if you meet with me, it's not a waste of time. But if you waste my time, that's a different story. So, but we're excited to be back. So I will not say anything else.
But no, I was gonna say that's great what you just said. The thing is, it's never going to be a waste of time if you meet with us, because if you are doing everything that you're supposed to do, and we meet people like that, we'll tell you you're doing great. You do not need us. But it never hurts to get a review. It never hurts to look and see what you're doing. You might be missing something, or you might have it done packed. Whatever you do, whether you meet with us, don't meet with us, we want you to share this live
Yes.
to others, because we know.
Hit like and subscribe.
That's right.
Like and subscribe. We cannot be the only 3 people that has ever struggled in our lives, and now we're able to help others. We can't be.
Right. So with that said, it's 6:30 for me and 9:30 for you guys. But
Stop bragging. It's probably still got sunshine out there in California.
Right?
not yet. But you know what? We thank you guys for joining us this week, and this is our 2023. We are going to bring you many, many tips, many things that you can do and implement in your life, in your daily life, in your work life. And we're always hiring. So there is another opportunity. So again, reach out to us, Millionaire Ladies Mob. Join us, like us, follow us on YouTube. Facebook, join our group, and we are here for you. So if you know somebody that wants to make a change, it's all written there, or that would be great because you can make extra money or you can make a great living. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Same time, same station. Take care.
Peace.